Now, when you're starting to think about building an app, what's the first thing you might think of asking? What's it going to cost me, right? Well, yes, that is an important consideration, but there's also 8 beginner mistakes that I've experienced and also hear about quite often that people make when they're looking to find a team that's going to help them build an app.
So the first beginner mistake would be not thoroughly interviewing the designers and developers. These are people you're going to work with for quite some time, at least for, a good few months, to optimize an app that looks good, works well, and has been thought through thoroughly and tested, and you're going to invest in that. So you want to make sure you're working with people that you enjoy, that you feel like you have great communication with, and that you know how to be responsive to one another. And just picking someone quickly or someone based only on price can really trip you up in the long run. The next mistake would be searching only with local app developers. So if you're not familiar with going about getting a development team to work on your app or a website or anything like that, the tendency might be to go local, just because you can walk into their office and kind of have a chat and get to know them. And that doesn't mean that that's not a good option. It just means you're really limiting yourself, because there's many thousands of options around the globe of highly skilled developers and designers with amazing ideas. And if you just limit yourself locally, you can be really compromising either finding a team that's just got fresh ideas that you've never even considered because, say they come from a different country, or they're from the other side of the United States, or they're from the other side of wherever. It can really vary, and pricing can vary. And reach out and at least get 3 to 5 quotes and get them from different areas around you. The next mistake would be prioritizing cost over skills and personality, which relates back to the first mistake. And this is around just choosing a team to develop and design your app based on being the cheapest option. And that can seriously cost you in the long run if you have a bad working relationship, if there's bugs you didn't anticipate, if they leave you hanging or you don't get the source code. There's all sorts of things that could come up if you go with the cheap option versus investing a little bit more to really get the high quality product that you're looking for. The next would be thinking that faster is better. Getting an app designed, built, and then actually out to the market is a very complex process that the designers, the developers, nor you, the client, can really anticipate what you're going to come up with and what you're going to create, because lots of ideas bubble up during the process. So trying to push out something faster just allows for so many more errors and so many more things that can go wrong. And if you show something to someone and it fails the first time, they're much, much, much less likely to try it again in the future. You can plan for creating a minimal viable product, like a phase 1 rollout with like a soft launch, to get a few beta testers to see how it works, and then plan for the bigger launch later. That's one way of approaching it, if time really is of the essence. The next mistake would be not considering cross-platform availability. So what does that mean? That means Android and iOS are the 2 most popular platforms for mobile apps, and you basically don't want to build something that's only built for iOS or only built for Android. And you might think when you're hiring a development team that that's all included, but that's actually, there's 2 different kinds of development and design that needs to happen for each platform. So when you invest, you're actually going to be investing in both. In most cases, it would be kind of silly not to try to invest in both. So just know that they're 2 different platforms, and you want to make sure that you're covering both, and also recognize that your pricing is going to reflect the fact that you're investing in both platforms. The next mistake is not planning for continued updates and bug fixes and support. This can be a big one, because it's one thing to invest all this time and get something out there, but you know how often your phone updates its software if you have a smartphone. So if you're not preparing to invest in ongoing updates and bug fixes, your app will very, very quickly die. So you just want to know that that's kind of part of the plan, which is another reason why you want to really like the team you're working with, because you'll probably be continuing to source them as your resource team to be able to help roll out new updates. The next mistake would be not owning your code. And this goes back to updates. So say you didn't have the greatest relationship with your development team, you want to make sure you have access and you own your code. Because if you do need to move to a different development team for ongoing updates and bug fixes and support, you want to make sure you own those files. Otherwise, you could be lost with nothing for your investment. So make sure that's a term that's covered in your project contract. And finally, not recognizing design being as important as development is the kind of the other beginner mistake. The design is as critical, if not more, in the beginning when a user first opens up your app at least, because they need to be able to intuitively figure it out. They need to be able to navigate it quickly and find what they want to be able to be enticed to use it more. Now, after that initial experience, the development becomes, of course, more of the priority because then they want it to be robust and actually do what they want it to do. But the design is critical to that first impression, so you want to make sure that you really are considering not only just the look and feel of the face of each screen, but also how a user navigates, which is called user experience design. How do they navigate through your app? Do they know where the menus are? Do they know how to get to particular screens? Is that intuitive or not? So that's a real consideration.
Thanks for watching my video! I'm Chelsea from Tech Diva Media. If you want to find out more about app design, development, or anything in that digital alley, you can check me out at techdivamedia.com.